Do y'all remember about 2 weeks ago when I said I was going to try my hardest not to buy any physical books this year? This is what I just picked up from the mailroom. But I feel like I have a good explanation, so let me explain. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you couldn't tell from the title of this video or maybe even the intro, I have bought some books. Like I said, it's looking very Fahrenheit 451 outside, and I refuse to live in a world where they're taking books off the shelves. I don't have access to digital copies on Libby, anything. So I've decided to go ahead and start building my physical collection of some of these books, just in the event that it ever happens, because again, I just need to have copies. It freaks me out to know that there might be a time when you can't go access these books like you can right now. So all that to say, I bought some books. I want to tell you a little bit about them and then why they are banned or challenged. So let's get into it. So the first book that I got isn't even really a book, nor is it banned or challenged, but I got a copy of the Constitution of the United States by the Founding Fathers. Is that who wrote this? This contains the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, the Bill of Rights, and Amendments 11 through 27. It's been a while since I've looked at a Roman numeral, but essentially this is saying that the Constitution of the United States of America is the ultimate law of the country. Now, why I got a copy of this, I was really tweaking out about the fact that the Constitution wasn't available on the White House website for a little bit. Have I ever wanted to read any of this? No. Not even in the slightest. However, I feel like now more than ever, it's important to know what my rights are as a United States citizen. So I will be reading this from cover to cover. I'll be highlighting, I'll be annotating, and probably even updating Goodreads with updates as I go along. Okay, the next book I got is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So I have heard a lot about this book. I obviously know who the author is, heard of her work before, but never actually sat down to read anything that she's written, so I'm really excited about that. So the synopsis of this book says, here's a book as joyous and painful, as mysterious and memorable as childhood itself. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings captures the longing of lonely children, the brute insult of bigotry, and the wonder of words that can make the world right. Maya Angelou's debut memoir is a modern American classic beloved worldwide. Sent by their mother to live with their devout grandmother in a small southern town in Arkansas, where I'm from, Maya and her brother endure the ache of abandonment and prejudice. At 8 years old, she is back at her mother's side in St. Louis. Maya is attacked by a man many times her age and has to live with the consequences for a lifetime. Years later in San Francisco, Maya learns that love for herself, the kindness of others, her own strong spirit, and the ideas of great authors will allow herself to be free instead of imprisoned. Poetic and powerful, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings will touch hearts and change minds for as long as people read. So clearly this is going to be an emotional read. I'm expecting to probably be a little sad, but that's okay. And then for why this book is challenged, so from what I could gather, it's banned or challenged for its depictions of racism, offensive language, LGBTQIA+ content, and perceived anti-white content. So banning this book kinda is just, I don't know. Anyway, I've known about this book again for a long time, so I'm excited to actually read it. I'm going to make this a priority for my February TBR, so I'll keep you guys updated when I get around to reading it. So the next book I got a copy of was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So maybe like some of you, I know of the show. I actually watched maybe a season and a half myself, so I'm not going into this book completely blind. And from what I remember watching from the show, I could 100% see this happening. Here's a synopsis. In Margaret Atwood's dystopian future, environmental disasters and declining birth rates have led to a second American Civil War. The result is the rise of the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian regime that enforces rigid social roles and enslaves the few remaining fertile women. Offred is one of these, a handmaid bound to produce children for one of the Gilead's commanders. Deprived of her husband, her child, her freedom, and even her own name, Offred clings to her memories and her will to survive. At once a scathing satire, an ominous warning, and a tour de force of narrative suspense, The Handmaid's Tale is a modern classic. So that probably really told you all you need to know. But why this book is banned, extreme depictions of gender oppression, sexual violence, and controversial religious themes. Some people have even said that this book is corrupting young readers and is full of anti-Christian messages. So that's why this book is finding its way on a lot of banned book lists. This book isn't necessarily a priority for me to read. Like I said, I've seen a little bit of the show, and I think everything that I did watch in the show is probably what's in this book because this is a series. But I wanted to go ahead and have a copy for my shelves, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you don't live under a rock, you know of this book in some way, shape, or form. I think it's like been made, it's definitely been made into a movie, definitely been made into at least 1 or 2 musicals, so you know a little bit about this book. And I myself have seen clips over the years of the movie, but never sat down to actually fully watch it or read the book. So this is another one that I'm not really going into blind, but also don't know the full context of the story. So here is the synopsis for The Color Purple. A powerful cultural touchstone of modern American literature, The Color Purple depicts the lives of Black women in early 20th century rural Georgia. Separated as girls, sisters Celie and Nettie sustain their loyalty to and hope in each other across time, distance, and silence. Through a series of letters spanning nearly 30 years, first from Celie to God, then from the sisters to each other, the novel draws readers into a rich and memorable portrayal of Black women, their pain and struggle, companionship and growth, resilience and bravery. Deeply compassionate and beautifully imagined, The Color Purple breaks the silence around domestic and sexual abuse and carries readers on an epic and spirit-affirming journey towards transformation, redemption, and love. So this book, even the synopsis is telling you that it talks about domestic abuse and sexual abuse, and that's definitely one of the reasons that it's banned. Another reason that I was finding was for the depictions of racism in the South. Again, it blows my mind that books can be banned or challenged for talking about realities of lived experiences, but that's neither here nor there. So this book is definitely another heavy one, like most of these kind of are, and so that's probably why I've put off both watching the movie and reading the book for so long. But I feel like now is the time to definitely have the book in my collection, but also give it a read. Okay, so the next book that I got was 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup. This is another one that was turned into a movie. I think that I've seen clips of the movie too, but I never, again, fully watched it nor read the book. I also didn't know that this was like a memoir, basically. Like, I knew that seeing clips from the movie, obviously this is based on a true story. These are things that happened, but I didn't know that this was Solomon's actual story. Like, he sat down and wrote his memoir. So the synopsis for this book is, this unforgettable memoir was the basis for the Academy Award-winning film, 12 Years a Slave. This is the true story of Solomon Northup, who was born and raised as a freeman in New York. He lived the American dream with a house and a loving family, a wife and 2 kids. Then one day he was drugged, kidnapped, and sold into slavery in the Deep South. These are the true accounts of his 12 hard years as a slave. Many believe this memoir is even more graphic and disturbing than the film. His extraordinary journey proves the resiliency of hope and the human spirit despite the most grueling and formidable circumstances. So from what I learned, this book is again challenged for its graphic depictions of slavery, and the way it portrays resistance and agency. So this book is challenged for like some weird reasons. Some people, I think, are challenging maybe the movie as well as the book. I've seen some people say it has some white savior narratives, but my thoughts on all that is, if this is a memoir that he wrote about his life experiences, how can anybody challenge that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but this is again a heavier one. I want to try to read it this month. I don't know that that'll happen, but as always, I'll keep you guys updated. Next book that I ordered and isn't here yet is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, I'm really intimidated by Toni Morrison as an author. I've been trying to read Beloved for years now and haven't gotten around to it. But again, like with these other books, I've been pushing it off. Now's the time to lock in and get serious. Okay, so here's a brief synopsis of The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So this is Toni's first novel, a book heralded for its richness of language and boldness of vision. Set in the author's girlhood hometown of Lorain, Ohio, it tells the story of Black 11-year-old Pecola Breedlove. Pecola prays for her eyes to turn blue so that she will be as beautiful and beloved as all the blonde, blue-eyed children in America. In the autumn of 1941, the year the marigolds in the Breedlove's garden do not bloom, Pecola's life does change in painfully devastating ways. With its vivid evocation of the fear and loneliness at the heart of a child's yearning and the tragedy of its fulfillment, The Bluest Eye remains one of Toni Morrison's most powerful, unforgettable novels and a significant work of American fiction. So maybe by now you're seeing the theme that most of these books have is sort of this depiction of racism at a specific time period and people's individual stories. So this book, since its publication, has been constantly on America's Libraries Association's list of the most challenged books for sexually explicit material, disturbing themes, and apparently some underlying socialist, communist agenda, and homosexual undertone. So kind of anything that makes people uncomfortable seems to be part of an agenda, which wild, I'll just say that. And finally, I got a copy of Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. Another intimidating author for me, but again, it's time to get into it. This book, from what I can tell, was written or published in 2000, but it's about a story that takes place in 2024. So at the time this was written, it was meant to be more of a futuristic novel, but we're starting to see some of the things written in the book taking place in the world. And so a lot of people have been talking about this book a bit more now. So I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and snag a copy. So the synopsis is: when global climate change and economic crises lead to social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortage to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. 15-year-old Lauren lives inside a gated community with her preacher father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding anarchy. In a society where any vulnerability is a risk, she suffers from hyper-empathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent dangers her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more: the birth of a new faith and a startling vision of human destiny. So this book is challenged for talking about controversial themes like climate change, social inequality, racism, and violence in a dystopian future. And that's kind of like, yes, that's what's happening. But all that to say, I've heard nothing but good things about Octavia Butler as author, so I'm excited to finally get into this read. This is another one that I'm definitely prioritizing out of the ones that I've shown you guys today. I'm prioritizing this one on my February TBR, so we'll see at the end of the month if it actually gets read and what my thoughts are. So that was all of the books that I got in my first little banned book haul, if you will. So here they are. But I wanted to take a second to talk about why I think this is even important, okay? So like I was kind of saying earlier, a lot of these books are challenged for their depictions of things that have happened in history and in real life. So to me, it's kind of mind-boggling to think that there might be a point where people don't want us to know what's inside of these stories. And I think here was a good mix of both like fiction and nonfiction. So again, like there's a little bit of truth in all of these stories. And I'm a firm believer that if we don't understand what's happened, it will repeat itself because we don't know how to solve it. We don't even know what happened. So again, if the only way that I can understand and learn more is by owning copies of these books and reading these stories, then that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to continuously build my physical collection of these books, again, because I feel like now more than ever it's important to have these things. Alright guys, that was the video. Let me know down in the comments below any banned books that you've read or you want to read. Like, let's build our collections together. Let's stay informed. Alright guys, again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You already know the drill by now. My links to my Instagram, other social media, and Goodreads will be in the description below, so you can follow along as I'm reading in real time. I can't wait to show you guys my thoughts about these books, and just keep you updated. And let's continue again to build our banned book collection together. Until the next time, happy reading. Let's open more. Let's open them all.